Hi, I'm Chelsea. Welcome to my Beginner Basics series. This is going to be a 6-class series, and each of the classes will be approximately 45 minutes or so. Being a beginner is a really exciting time, so whether you're coming at this as a brand new newbie or you're reclaiming and refining your practice, give yourself the opportunity to enjoy just being a beginner, just learning something that's new. We're going to take each of these classes sequentially. So every class will work on something, and then the class to follow will build on that. If you find something along the way that you find is challenging, or that it gives you a bit to unpack or discover for yourself, do that class a couple of times before you carry on. It might give you more benefit that way. The class that we're going to do today, the first one out of 6, is going to be a foundations class. Foundation is essentially what the base of things are, or the structure. So we're going to look at the foundation or the structure of all of our physical poses, and we're going to spend a decent amount of time developing and unpacking the breath, which hopefully is the foundation for the entire practice. If you have access to a couple of blocks, maybe a blanket or a throw, you might find it handy. Otherwise, let it unfold and see what happens for you along the way. We're going to start in some form of a seat. So see if you can find yourself into a comfortable seated position. So quite often we sit cross-legged in our yoga practice. If it's helpful for you to take a blanket or something that can help lift your seat, this can take pressure out of the hips, giving hips and knees the same line or the same plane. Sit up really nice and tall. This is called easy pose, but it's not necessarily always easy in the beginning. So just give yourself a couple of moments to soften into it. Notice the height of your spine. Notice the feeling of your shoulders, the expression of your face. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. Let's just take a moment to land into our first seat and to feel out our first couple of breaths coming and going. Breath coming into the body, filling us up. And breath slowly leaving with a patience. And so for the first couple of moments, that's all you have to do. Nothing fancy. Just notice the breath coming into your body. Notice where it goes to, how it feels, how long it takes. And then patiently watch it leave. And quite often, as we start to draw an awareness around the breath, it will start to change in quality all by itself. So if you notice any aspect of your breath is getting a bit longer or a bit fuller, explore that. And as long as it doesn't feel like we're over manipulating the breath, we can grow it to a place that it might be even. The length of the inhale will be even to the length of the exhale. And the breath is the undercurrent of our whole practice, so we want to give it the ability to be rich and to be full. As we notice where in our body the breath goes to, it's really helpful to develop a curiosity that we can see we're bringing the breath down low into the belly, but also all the way out into the sides, and in some cases up into the top of the chest. It's not uncommon to start a yoga practice with an idea or an offering. Quite often through class, you will hear your instructor hold a moment of space or opportunity to create an intention. And the idea of an intention isn't necessarily a goal that you're looking to accomplish, but rather an attitude or a mode by which you'd like to travel to all the various goals and all their various endings. If it's meaningful to you, you might consider lifting your hands together into the space of your heart. And maybe we could create a simple intention for today, something along the lines of letting ourselves be where we are. Be present. And the next time you exhale, release your hands. If you're sitting up on something like I am, you could choose to stay there or nestle yourself right down into the floor. You're going to sit up really nice and tall and feel out the ledges of our sit bones. So this is the foundation that holds us into our seat. Lift the spine all the way up through the crown of the head, and we're going to start to link movement with breath. When your inhale comes, reach your arms all the way out to the sides. When your exhale comes, reverse the palms to turn down and swim back toward the earth. We're just going to do that 4 more times, letting breath lead the body. Inhale to stretch up, and then exhale, release and come down. 2 more times like that. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, like the air resisted you, press down. With your own breath, 1 more time. When fingertips reconnect to the floor, we're going to kick the feet around to the side and roll ourselves over to a tabletop pose. We take a lot of postures from this tabletop position, and when we come into it, we really want to claim the foundation of our hands. So look down to your hands and spread the fingers out really wide. Middle finger facing forward, all other fingers spread from that space. Hands are set about as wide as the shoulders are, and if we look back, knees and hips are stacked in a long straight line. When your inhale comes, we're going to roll the shoulders gently back, tip the heart up, lift the gaze to where it's comfy, and then with an exhale, push the floor away, rounding the upper back and releasing the head. So slide with your breath. Inhale, lift heart forward, lift tail up, and then exhale, round the back and let it go. Let breath lead the way. We're going to move through about 3 more of those. Inhale, stretching the front of the chest, arcing the low spine. Exhale, rounding the back, pointing the tailbone down, pointing the head down. 1 more time with breath. Great, so we're going to move this cat-cow pose all the way back to a neutralized tabletop pose. And you're going to walk your knees out a little bit wider, creating a triangular shape in the inner edges of your shins. And try to sit your sit bones down toward your heels. And if it's possible, you're going to bring your forehead all the way to the floor. And if the floor feels way too far away, you could always take a block and put this under your forehead so that the earth comes closer and you're not straining in your neck to try to reach this space. And even though there's only been a small amount of movement so far, it's really easy to lose the connection of our breath. So we're going to come back and see if we can recultivate that for 2. When your next inhale comes, you're going to push through your hands and knees and glide back up to your table. Make sure the knees are no wider than the hips. This time you're going to move your hands about 6 inches in front of your shoulders. So wrists aren't stacked under the shoulders. They're quite a ways in front of the shoulders. And then we're going to tuck our toes and slowly lift our hips up and back to the most notorious pose, our downward facing dog. When you get here, I'd love you to give yourself some freedom in the legs. So take some flexion in the knees and really pay attention to the foundation of the hands to the floor. Just like in tabletop pose, we're going to spread the hands out really carefully, trying to see if we can press from the pinky finger to the index finger, inside knuckles down, and even the outer edge of the thumb.
So the idea was, if I was to try to come by and stick my index finger beneath the palm of your hand, it wouldn't be able to get it in there. From this place in the foundation of the hands, we're going to lift and tilt the seat up really nice and high. So we're getting a long stretch through our arms and our back body. And then what happens with the knees, we might want to pedal and flex, straightening one leg at a time, starting to get some life and mobility into the back of the legs. It is by no means necessary for the legs to be jammed straight at the beginning or even at all. Take one more nice big breath here, feeling the tilt of your tailbone high. And we're going to change everything looking forward and walk the feet up toward the hands at the front of the mat. When you get to the front, when the feet are on the floor, place them about as wide as your hips. A really nice cheat for that is about 2 fists worth or so on the inner edges of your feet. And then we're going to hang out over the front of the legs in this really lazy forward fold. And again, just like our downward facing dog, it's less important that we touch the floor, and it's less important that the legs are all the way straight. And really interesting to see if we can just give ourselves permission to let the head fall, let the shoulders and the arms be lazy, and begin to monitor the movement of our breath even in this turned over position. And we're going to roll up to stand really nice and slow. So flex through the knees if that's available to you. Push evenly through the corners of the feet, and with your inhale, lift and roll and round and come all the way up to stand. So making sure the feet haven't strayed any wider than this outer hip distance. Set them back into that place. And then feel out the corners of your feet. So the foundation of our feet in our standing postures is incredibly important. We have an inside and outside edge, front and back of the foot, corners of the feet, and we want to plant them evenly to the floor. Sometimes it's even helpful to pick up the toes, claim the 4 corners, and then place the toes down without needing to grip. From the foundation of feet, we can let the whole body grow tall. The legs have a soft engagement. The belly draws softly in. The shoulders drop out of the ears, opening the chest, and the crown of the head lifts tall. Lots of room for breath in a pose like this, so let's take a big one at the top. This simple, strong stance is called mountain pose, and from mountain pose, we'll discover the movement and the flow of our class. With an inhale, you're going to lift the arms all the way up, big stretch. And with an exhale, you're going to flex through the knees and dive down, forward fold. When your in-breath comes, fingertips up onto your shins, begin to flatten the back, pull the shoulders back, draw the chest forward, and then exhale and re-release your head, soften the upper body and fold. Good, push evenly through your feet. Inhale, lift arms up, stretch up. And exhale, close the cycle, bring your hands down through your heart. Back to mountain pose, we'll go again. Inhale. And a forward fold, slow dive, exhale. See if you can find the matching of your breath. Inhale, pull your chest forward. And then a simple forward fold, come on down. Arms out to the sides, steady legs, inhale. And back through the center with your exhale, hands to heart. And fingertips to the side, mountain pose, Tadasana. Let's layer on a bit. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, slow dive, forward fold. Heart pulls forward, head releases. Good. Inhale, slide the chest forward, pull the shoulders back. Exhale, simple release back to your fold. So this time, we're going to plant the hands evenly down to the floor. With an inhale, step both feet back to the length of a push-up pose. And for the first one, we'll lower the knees to the ground. Take an extra breath in, opening the chest, drawing the shoulders back from the ears. And when you exhale, point the elbows backwards so we graze the side waist and come down with control. Pushing the top of the feet into the floor, use the foundation of the hands to inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest forward, and then exhale, draw down through the chest, pick up through hands and knees, and pull the hips backward, to your downward facing dog. So every time we come back to the down dog, it's a great time to reestablish and re-notice the foundation, which in this moment is the spreading of the hands, the pressing of the balls of the feet. And from the foundation, we can grow to the height of the pose, the top of the tailbone that has a big tilt. The next time you exhale, you're gonna look forward to your hands and walk or take one big step to the top of your mat. With an inhale, pull your chest forward, flat back, and then with an exhale, fold down. Arms to the sky, big in breath. Hands to the center, close your cycle. We'll do one more like that, big in breath. Exhale, smooth forward fold, take your time. Halfway up with an inhale, shoulders back, heart forward, and then fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step to a plank. This time you can keep your knees lifted or lowered. And when your exhale comes, point your elbows back and come down with control. Inhale, open the chest to a cobra, so legs are strong, shoulders glide back. And exhale, move through all fours, tuck your toes, and pull your hips up high, downward facing dog. Again, the opportunity to connect to the foundation. Spread out the hands, press the inside knuckles down, lengthen the spine. With an exhale, we're gonna look forward to our hands and walk or step to the top of the mat. When the feet are even, inhale and pull the chest forward halfway, and then exhale, dive down and fold. Arms to the sky, big in breath. Exhale, hands through the center of the heart. Let's just reclaim the feet for a moment. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands come back through center. Feel all four corners of the feet and strength through the legs. Reach up, inhale. Hands through center, exhale. One more. So releasing fingertips to the floor, looking down to check out the feet again. So traditionally, some practices of yoga have the big toes moving together into the center. A lot of Hatha versions of yoga give us this freedom to have feet as wide as the hips. This gives us a nice base where the foundation of the feet are lining up right under the center of the hip points for a lot of stability. With an inhale, we're gonna reach up nice and high again. With an exhale, we'll come back down through our fold. Good, halfway up with an in-breath. And then this time as we fold, the fingertips are gonna touch the floor. If that feels far away, this is why we have our blocks. You're gonna slowly step the right foot back and we're gonna bring the knee to the ground. All four corners of the front foot have to be pressed when we're in a lunge foundation. So feeling all four corners of this front foot press evenly. Back toe can be tucked or untucked. We're gonna lift arms up really nice and high and find our first low lunge. Now what happens is the burning of the hips, the singing of the legs can start to change our focus. So we want to bring everything back to the awareness of our breath. How can we bring the breath full and even into the belly, out into the ribs, up into the chest? Be patient with the exhale. Good, when your next exhale comes, both hands are going to come down to the floor, frame your front foot. Pick up the back knee so you have some strength. And then pushing through the foundation of the hands, you're gonna step front foot back and again see if we can find our downward facing dog. Now the foundation of the hands will press us, and with an inhale, we're gonna float our dog forward to a plank pose. This is a really great place to discover the length of the dog. You might even need to squiggle your feet back. And when your exhale comes again, you're gonna lift your hips straight up and come back to that dog pose. And just enjoy a couple of breaths to feel this big stretch. Believe it or not, downward facing dog does actually move its way into a place where it moves from a really strong working pose to a resting pose. We're gonna look to our hands, use an exhale to walk or to step to the top. When your feet are even, all four corners are pressed. Inhale, pull your chest forward halfway. Exhale, dive down and fold. Good, arms to the sky, big in breath. Hands through the center, come down. We'll do the exact same thing. Inhale. Now forward fold, exhale. Find your own rhythm, follow your own breath. Halfway up, slow in breath. Exhale, fold, fingertips to the floor or the blocks. Left foot back as far as you can comfortably step it, left knee down. Toe can be tucked or untucked. Very even through the four corners of the right foot and sweep up nice and high. So the stability of the foundation moves through the limbs of the body. And we'll get really deeply into all the checkpoints of our foundation and alignment as we go through this whole series. But today, see if you can give yourself permission to sink whilst keeping the belly lifted, just like that mountain pose in all postures. Take one more big breath everywhere. Good. When your exhale comes, hands come down, frame your front foot. We're going to do that same thing. Back knee lifts up, hands plug evenly, step front foot back to downward facing dog. Wait for an inhale and gather yourself forward to a plank pose. Stretch the length of the body out long, spread your hands out wide, and then exhale, pull your hips back up and find your downward facing dog. Big breath in, full breath out. Look forward to your hands, use an exhale, walk or step all the way up. Feet are even, inhale halfway up, shoulders pull back from the ears. Exhale, simple forward fold, let it go. Good, arms to the sides, inhale, stretch up, lift up. Exhale, hands through the center of the heart. Okay, we're gonna layer on a little bit. Inhale, arms lift. And when your exhale comes, sink into your knees and find chair pose. So chair, this is our first chair. It doesn't have to be a crazy chair. We're looking for a place that we can sink into the knees, lift and pull the navel in, soften the shoulders down. Now notice the foundation of the pose. Notice all four corners of both feet. Take one more big, bright breath. Good. When your next exhale comes, straighten the legs, lead with the heart, and fold. Whew. Halfway up with an in-breath. Simple forward fold. So this time you're going to step your right foot back. And when you get it back, step the back heel down, the right heel down to about a 45-degree angle to the long edge of the mat. When you're sturdy, you're going to reach up through center. So your hands can come into center and your hips are rolling to center. So traditionally with this posture, I find it's often taught heel to heel. I like to practice this posture with the back heel stepped a little wide, giving mobility to roll the hips forward to the top edge of the mat. Big stretch through the front of the hip flexor here. Pull the belly in, and if you feel really sturdy, arms can reach all the way up to the sky. Warrior one pose. Let's take two more big breaths. Good. When your exhale comes, both hands are going to come down to frame your front foot. You're going to push through the left foot and step the right foot up. Come halfway up when you feel steady. Take a big bow and dive down. Good. Arms to the sky. Big in-breath. Keep the arms up. When your exhale comes, sink into your knees and find one more chair. I won't kill you with the chairs today. This is the last one of the practice. Give yourself room to feel the heat of the legs. See if you can peel up the corners of your lips. One more. Good. When your exhale comes, straighten your legs, lead with your heart, and fold. Halfway up, grow the heart away from the tailbone. Every vertebra stretches long. Exhale, fold, reach for the floor. Step the left foot back and angle the heel down for warrior one, about a 45-degree angle. When you feel steady through all four corners of both feet, lift through center. Hands are into the center. Everything collects to the front center edge of the mat. And if you feel good and steady, arms might rise, stretching your sides. Now see if you can come back to monitoring your breath, feeling the evenness of your feet, the warmth of your legs, the movement of your blood. Good. When your exhale comes, hands are going to come down, frame your front foot. Push through that foot, come all the way up. halfway up. Deep fold. Beautiful. Arms to the sky, stretch up. And then hands through the center, coming down. We'll find a change. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, softness through the knees as you fold. Half extension with an inhale. Forward fold with an exhale. Oh, okay, bend your knees a lot. Plant your hands to the mat. We're gonna step back again to the length of that push-up pose. Pause here, and if it feels like it would be beneficial to you, bring your knees to the ground. It's way better to give ourselves the foundation in the beginning than to do something that might give us injury. So the more that we can pick up the belly, pull the shoulders back so the chest is open, we create a stability in the plank. And when you exhale, we want to come down with control. Elbows point backwards so we can engage bicep and tricep, and we have heart and belly connect at the same time. Cobra pose, presses top of the feet and the pubic bone to the floor. Roll the chest open. Good, and then downward facing dog. Move through all fours or tuck your toes and lift your bum straight up. So this time we're gonna try to step through our poses from the downward facing dog. Really feel the connection of the hands. Re-fan and spread the fingers out wide. And if it feels sturdy enough to keep your hands pressed, you're gonna inhale and lift your right leg up behind you. Three-legged downward dog. Look forward to the hands and step your foot as best as you can forward to the top edge of the mat. If it doesn't make it all the way there, pull the ankle forward, no harm done. Pivot on the back heel so that we can bring the blade edge of the back foot down for warrior two. And when you're sturdy, arms are gonna cartwheel up and open to the long edge of the mat. So it doesn't have to land perfectly. You might find that you need to heel toe the feet around, getting the front heel into alignment with back arch, or even back heel for more stability. Sink generously into this front knee. Feel all four corners of both feet evenly pressed, and open your arms out really nice and wide, front and back. Now this pose is a strong posture. One of the translations of it is fierce warrior. Feel the heat of this pose as you sink in, and then peek down at your front knee and notice if the knee is diving into center. We want to try to draw it back to the pinky toe side so that when we spy down on the inner edge of the front knee, we can spy that big toe. Let's take one more breath here. Good, with an inhale, you're gonna squeeze the front leg straight to refresh. With your exhale, you're gonna sink back into your warrior two. This time we're gonna take this right elbow or forearm, lay it down strongly onto the thigh, and reach your left arm up toward the sky. If this feels like you have the mobility in this top shoulder, you can turn the palm toward the earth and stretch it all the way over your top ear. Now this right elbow helps keep your chest lifted. So there's a lift in the chest, lift through the forearm, and a rolling open of this whole top rib cage. Let's take one more big breath here. Good, with an inhale, lift the upper body back up to warrior two. And then with an exhale, let's take the bend out of the front knee. Arms are gonna stay spread. So fingertips stretch away from one another. Foundation of feet is gonna stay even, but you're gonna slightly tick the hips backward. So we have a stretch from hip crease to armpit on both sides. We're gonna let this front hand revolve down toward the shin, back arm up toward the sky, toward triangle posture. Now the pose is already quite warm, so we wanna make sure that the breath is full. And then depending on where your hands go to, you could touch the shin, you could touch your block, you could touch the floor behind you. Really create an openness through the front of the chest. If you're starting to collapse through the chest, give yourself room to come higher so you can open the chest. And breathe here, one more. Good, now look down towards your front foot. We're gonna bend the front knee dramatically. Bring hands down to frame it. Lift the back heel up. And as we press evenly through both hands, we're gonna step front foot back and find downward facing dog. Great opportunity to reclaim our foundation here again. Spread your hands out wide, tilt your tailbone up, clear a big full breath. Good, we're almost through all of this hard work. Keep the foundation of your hands pressed. Use a big inhale, stretch your left leg up behind you. Look forward to your hands, and with an exhale, step this left foot through to the front. Again, if it doesn't get all the way there, pull the ankle, bring it forward. Right heel turns and pivots till we bring blade edge parallel to back side, and arms are gonna lift and cartwheel nice and wide. Give yourself room to adjust the foundation of your feet until you feel steady. Big sink into the front knee. Both femur bones are rolling open, and chest reaches out nice and brightly. Notice where your breath is in your body. Direct your gaze softly over this front middle finger. We'll take one more. Good, with an inhale, squeeze this front leg straight to refresh for a breath. And when your exhale comes, sink back into the front knee. Bend through the left elbow to place forearm toward thigh, and right hand reaches straight up out of shoulder socket, or perhaps turning the palm to lengthen all the way over this top ear. Lay your ears back so your neck is long, your chest stays wide and bright. We're gonna breathe two more. Good, with an inhale, we're back up to the warrior two. And with an exhale, we take the bend out of the front knee, which always kind of feels like chocolate. Draw the hips back, reach the front fingertips forward, keeping the chest spread. And then with an exhale, we're gonna cartwheel to this triangle posture. So again, you can set your hand to your shin. If you had a block and that was handy, you could bring it to a space behind you. Peel open this whole chest, let this whole top rib cage rotate up toward the sky. Continuously feel a draw of your hips shifting back, lengthening top and bottom side waist. And then breathe. Breathe with everything. Good, with an exhale, we're gonna look down toward the front foot, release the hands. I'm gonna pick up the back heel, but this time we're gonna come forward. So step really strongly down into the left foot and pull yourself all the way up. Feet are out about as wide as the hips. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, slow fold. Good, arms to the sky, big in breath, stretch up. Hands through the center. Now we're gonna find our way into a balance pose. When I balance, I like to change the foundation of my feet to be a little bit more narrow. So instead of an outer hip distance, we'll take an inner hip distance. And if it feels okay in your body, set your hands to the center and know where your center is. So it's really helpful to pick something on the floor or the wall that doesn't move. We call this a focal point or a drishti point. And you're gonna start to center all of your weight over into the right foot. Flex a bit through the left knee. And when you feel sturdy through the foundation of the right side, open the left knee to the left side, and maybe even lift the toes up away from the floor. Now the foundation of the posture grows through the stability of the posture. So not just down through the connection of the foot, but raising up through the crown of the head, pushing hands into center, pushing the standing leg into the foot and the foot into the standing leg. And if you feel sturdy enough, you could lift the foot above the knee joint. So into the ankle, into the calf, or avoiding the knee up into the inner thigh. Maybe branches grow, palms can be pressed, or they can spread, or we can take a balance beam. We want to see if we can soften into the stability for two more big breaths. And with an exhale, hands are going to come into center, and foot's going to step its way down into the floor. It might be really helpful to kick some life back into your body and then reset the foundation of the pose. So feet press evenly, hands find midline. All of the weight moves into the left foot. Lift the right ankle to de-weight. Open the right knee that opens the right hip. If it feels sturdy, toes up away from the floor. Inner ankle, inner calf, or all the way up into inner thigh. And all the way pressing through the midline, you may or may not want to grow branches, palms pressed, or Fingers spread. Breathe. And if you fall out, which we do often through these balance poses, if you fall out, come back and try again. Wait for an exhale that will bring your hands into your chest. And step the foot as gracefully down to the floor as is available. Reclaim a final time the foundation of all four corners of both your feet. And with a big, bright in-breath, stretch to the sky. And with a complete exhale, swan dive and fold. And you hang out in this forward fold for about 3 breaths. If you touch the floor really easily, you might consider reaching for opposite elbow with opposite hand into a ragdoll position. I even like to give my body a little bit of a rock side to side. Breathe deeply down into the space of your low back. We'll take one more. And from here, release your hands and lower yourself down through a seat that makes sense to you in your own body. When you get here, we're going to set the soles of the feet together and the knees are going to wing out wide. And then feeling the foundation of our seat to the floor, we're going to sit to our tallest. So spine lifts up, sit bones on both sides are even, and knees are softly working their way down toward the earth. And if this becomes really uncomfortable in the inner thighs in any way, you could always place your blankets or your blocks underneath to catch. And take one more nice big breath to lift. You can either stay here in this upright spine, or if it feels good, you're going to pull your heart forward towards your toes and begin to bow. When you can't go any further through your hip crease, give yourself some room through the shoulders and the upper back. Maybe even release the hands to the earth. Breathe a couple really fluid breaths. Good. With an inhale, looking forward, slowly drawing yourself up. And now press the knees back together, feet to the floor. We're going to give ourselves some room to lower all the way down onto our back body. And when you get down onto your back, you're going to want to make sure that the upper back is even and the feet are walked in as close as you can comfortably bring them. We're going to set up for a little bridge pose. So you could choose to either have your fingers pointed to the sky like a robot, elbows in framing your rib cage, shoulders pressed back, or if it feels accessible in your body to lay the entire arm bone down whilst keeping the upper shoulder and upper arm pressed in, you could do that. We're going to press through the foundation of both feet. Keep the connection at the back of the head and the shoulders so that there is a natural curve behind the space of the neck. And when you're ready, we'll use an inhale and lift and squeeze the hips up off the mat. Now, a natural tendency here is that we lose foundation of the feet and the knees start to open wide. So we want to push evenly through all four corners of the feet like we've been doing in all of our poses, our lunge poses, our standing poses. And then hug the inner thigh muscles together like you were holding a ball you didn't want to drop. Keep that and see if you can start to direct the point of your tailbone to the space behind your kneecaps. Keep the shoulders pressing down into the floor, broadening your chest to your chin. We'll breathe one more. Good. In descending, I like to lift my heels up, popping up onto my tippy toes. And when you exhale, lower your spine back to the mat. Excellent. When you get back here, you're going to take a moment to spread the arms out wide. Walk the feet a little wider, and for just a moment, drop your knees into the center. And you can feel the spread of the back of your sacrum, the space that hugs around your tailbone. Just breathe here for an extra breath or two, enjoying a moment where you don't have to do anything. Excellent. Feet walk back together, close enough toward one another. You're going to lift the right knee up closer into the space of your belly. Hands come around the front edge of the kneecap. You can leave the left foot to the floor. It might feel good to send the leg down the mat. Enjoying a couple deep, full breaths here. ready to, letting go of this right foot, bringing it back to the floor, and lifting and pulling the left knee up into the belly. Again, same as the first side, the right foot can stay to the floor. You can send it all the way down the front edge of the mat. And wait for an exhale, let this foot go, set it down onto the floor. Rebend that right knee, so right foot also finds the floor. Arms are gonna spread out wide in a capital T shape. You're gonna let the knees fall together over to the left side. I even like to use my feet to scoot the outer edge of my left hip into center. I wanna make sure both shoulders are even to the floor now. So now the foundation is the upper palate of our back. If you're steady, you can close your eyes and just notice what it is to let your legs fall into this shape. And if for any reason it feels twinging in your back or your hip or your knee, you could always use your blocks or your blanket to pad under the knees or between the knees to give you some more support. And wait for an in-breath and begin to lift the knees up through center, re-square the hips. And when you feel extra steady, we'll work our way over to the other side. One more big breath. And when an inhale comes, knees come up through center. And when you get them here, you're going to extend the legs out long down the mat. Let your hands rest where they're comfortable. Get me onto your body or down to the sides. For just a moment to release and recalibrate the body, we're going to give ourselves a short savasana relaxation. You could certainly welcome yourself to pause the video for a moment and cover the body up, replace clothing, pad your head. But I highly recommend using the release of this posture to let all of this work, all this breath, the movement of all your blood, integrate into the really deep memory of your body. Enjoy the ability to be soft and surrendered. Let go of the thoughts. And when you're ready to, for just a moment, let go of the breath. If you have the time in your day, wherever you are right now, to linger here for a couple more minutes, I highly recommend that you do. Otherwise, if you'd like to begin to reestablish soft little wiggles through your body in a place that it feels good to move. And when you're ready to, we're going to roll the body over to a right side or a left side and pause for a moment. And we often end practice by rolling to a side body to just take a moment to take inventory and notice how we're feeling, if anything's changed, if anything's come clear.
lift anything that feels right to you back up into a last seat, and we're going to enjoy just one last moment together as we close our class. So sit in any shape that makes sense to you. You can cross legs, or you could kneel. Your hands can stay rested on your lap, or if it speaks to your heart, you can lift them up together into space of heart center. And with closed eyes and a soft bowed chin, we summon a moment of gratitude for ourselves, for embarking on something new, for taking time to connect with ourselves, both body and mind. And one of the most renowned salutations through various lineages and practices of yoga is that the light that burns within me sees and very deeply, very honorably bows to that exact same light and radiant life force that burns within you. In translation, Namaste.